All right, check this bike out. This is a pretty new one. It's a 2014 Honda CRF250L. You can see the VIN right in there. 2014. Pretty nice bike overall. New tires on it. Light is burnt up a little bit. I'm guessing maybe from the exhaust. Not too sure. The seat is missing. Plastics are off of it. But a couple guys dropped this bike off and they wanted me to try to fix it for them. So right now it does not start at all. They said it has spark, it has compression, and that it's getting fuel from the fuel pump and the injector. So there's a couple things that we can check first here. I'm guessing maybe the valves are tight. They didn't want to do the shimming themselves, so they said I could do that if that is the problem. But typically, if valves are tight, the intake valves, this thing wouldn't have much compression. So we'll probably start with the compression test, go from there, and then probably check the valves. We gotta check the battery, make sure that's getting enough voltage, because I know this thing won't spark without a proper battery voltage. This thing also has a tip sensor we gotta check, and then it's got the safety switch right here for the clutch. Then also the kickstand safety switch has to be up, so we can check all those as well. The guy bought it from a guy who said that it was running before he broke off the key in the ignition. The two guys put a new ignition on it, and the bike wouldn't fire. So either the guy was lying, or something happened when they put the ignition on here that wouldn't allow the bike to run. So they're just trying to get it running and driving so they can sell it, because I think they just want to get rid of it at this point. But yeah, it's a pretty nice bike. I think these go for right around $4,500 in running conditions. So hopefully we can fix it up for them and get this thing running again, because it's a pretty sweet bike. I'm sure they're sick of looking at it and not being able to ride it. So let's start digging into this thing. I think we're going to just start with a startup process here and just go through everything and try to start it up and see what it sounds like. So they said when they start it, the spark gets really wet, and it does spark, and it sometimes once in a while pops over. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, it's not doing anything. Nothing at all. Let's take off the tank and get to the spark plug and check compression, because it's not doing anything at all. Held on by. Alright, so the spark plugs are right in here. You can see the boot came off. I don't know what size socket's gonna fit in there. Looks like we'll kind of go from there. Yeah, that's the one. Curious to see what the spark plug looks like. Could be a fouled plug too, because sometimes fouled plugs still spark, but they don't spark inside the engine. So We will see here. There we go. There's the plug. Huh. There's like a little piece of paint or something on there. Doesn't look super wet to me. Guess we'll see what this spark looks like here. See if we got any spark. We've got the safety switch on the clutch held in. Yeah, looks like it's sparking pretty good. Alright, let's get a compression tester in there. Let's see what we've got for compression. I'm guessing this thing has a decompression release, so we won't get a super accurate reading, but we'll try. Alright, there's the fitting, matches up with the spark plug. Let's see if we can get that in there. The attachment fitted up here. I think it's in all the way. Let's see. And I'll do open throttle. See if that'll stay. Alright, here we go. Open throttle. So that looks like it's 85. We are going to put a jumper pack on the battery. See if we get a higher reading. Well, it seems like we're not getting enough juice out of this thing. Let's tighten that up. Is this one loose too? No, that one's not. Don't like to be loose. There, that's tight now. Alright, now let's see what we get. Huh, same compression. We're going to look it up and see what that's supposed to be at. That might be normal with a decompression release. Alright, so it looks like we don't have low compression. According to the manual, it says that it should have 87 when you're cranking it over with the decompression valve. So 87 psi. And we're right around 85, 86. So, I mean, that's perfect. So compression looks good. I don't know, maybe it's sparking at the wrong time. Maybe timing is off. That's kind of what I'm suspecting here. We're gonna hook up a jumper to the battery and crank it over first. Maybe the battery wasn't powerful enough on its own. So let's try that first. We'll get the plug back in there and then we'll try to fire it up with a jumper pack on the battery, because maybe the battery is just too small. All right, we're gonna try to start it with the jumper pack now. No go. And we also tried to put some gas down the cylinder, and still nothing. All right, so I thought maybe the diode in the ignition switch was missing because this is an aftermarket ignition on here. But I took it apart and the diode is in fact in there, so that's good. Usually it wouldn't prime the fuel pump if it was missing, but I thought maybe it was damaged or something causing issues. But it is in fact in there, and there's continuity between the diodes, so I think the diode's fine. So let's, I think, check the timing next and see if that's correct. All right, valve cover coming off here. I took off 2 bolts on the top, and it should come right off of here if I did it correctly. Let's see, which way can we pull it through? Take it off this way. All right, valve cover's off. Hard to see in there, sorry. Let's see if we can get the top view of it. Looks like that. Basically just 2 cams in there. We're gonna check and see if the timing marks are correct on the cams here. There's a little dot right there, a little dot right there. So we'll see if that's all lined up correctly. A window right here. Oh, man. Just kind of tap it free. Like that. Without damaging the cover here. Same with this one. Tap it free. You don't want to go. All right, so we're looking for a T, I believe, on this one. Let's see if we can find it. Yep. All right, so we'll look through that little window there. There's the T. Kind of see it maybe? You can see it with the line, the upside down T with the line. Alright, looking at the cams, they are incorrectly. You can see the intake is on the side over by my finger over here. Intake, and then exhaust right over here. And then same with the other one. And that is parallel to the surface of the head, and then the 2 dots are at the top. So that is perfect. So timing is spot on. We're going to check the valve clearances next, make sure those are good. Alright, so I did the valves. Intake is 0.006, it is perfect. Exhaust is 0.011, so those are perfect as well. Exhaust and intake valves are both perfect. So I don't know what's going on. It must not be sparking properly. So something's going on with the ignition and the spark, because we've got compression, we've got fuel going to it, so it's got to be something with the spark. Even though it's sparking, it still seems weird. So I don't know what's going on with that. It looks like this thing was taken apart too. Look at that. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, we'll try to figure this out. Alright, so one thing I didn't do was take off the airbox lid and check out that air filter in there. So I probably should have done that first, but I forgot. Doesn't look like this was opened at all. So maybe there's something in there causing it to block airflow, which definitely could be. Come on, please be that. Wouldn't that be something? That would be an easy fix. see. Ooh, it's pretty dirty. That might be the ticket right there. I mean, it looks pretty gross in there. Let's see if I can get some light on the situation. Looks pretty gunked up. It's pretty dirty. There's a lot of sand in there too. So I wonder, maybe the piston got a little sand on it and isn't making enough compression. That's what it looked like here. It's pretty gunked up. In between there, I mean, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So we'll put that off to the side. We're going to do a leak down test on this thing just to see if it's losing compression from anywhere. So we've got the air compressor set to 25 pounds. We're gonna hook up the air compressor to the cylinder here. I've got my attachment right here. And we'll see if we hear any air coming out of it. So we're gonna check. No bubbles from the radiator. Not hearing anything. Are you guys hearing anything? Let's see. So we're kind of looking, so if there's air from the air box, it means it's a valve. If there's air coming from the exhaust, it means it's an exhaust valve that's leaking. If it's in the crank, that means it's the piston rings. Alright, so past the leak down test, it's not draining any of the air from the air compressor, so it's not leaking anywhere. I don't see any bubbles, I don't see any air spurting out of anywhere, so that's good. Doesn't have a blown head gasket, doesn't have a valve leak. The rings seem to be good. One more check we can do for the rings is to put some oil down the spark plug hole, and then we'll check compression again. If compression goes up, that means we have worn rings. If it stays the same, that means the rings are fine. So let's do that next, and then we'll check compression. All right, we've got oil down the cylinder. We've got the compression tester hooked up. Let's see now if compression goes up at all. Throttle open. Go. Nope. So compression stayed the same. All right, we've got the top end valve cover back on. We're going to try to start this thing up without the air filter in it. Hopefully that is the fix. If not, I'm going to be pretty stumped. But if it is the fix, we went through all that trouble and it was just the air filter. So hopefully it is the fix though. No go. We're kind of out of things to test, and unless we take off the silencer, maybe that's plugged up or something. But I highly doubt that. I don't know. Very, very interesting. Alright, so maybe the pipe is clogged. I highly doubt it, but we can take it off and check. That's like the last thing to check, I guess. Doesn't look clogged, but I guess you never know. So we'll try starting it up again, see what happens here. Huh. I don't know, I'm pretty stumped. Alright, so I was just looking at my leak down tester tube, and I just realized that there was a little valve in there that wasn't allowing compression to flow through into the engine, so it was just capping off in the tube. So let's try the leak down test again and see if that works, because I think it might be compression. I think compression's low or something. Alright, we've got the tube in there. Let's hook up our air compressor. Alright, so we're at top dead center during the leak down test, and check this out. Can you hear that air? Coming through here. So that means rings are letting air go by. There you go, now you can hear it. It's really coming through. So yeah, that's not good. Alright, so it looks like the rings are worn. The only thing that doesn't make sense is that I put oil down the cylinder and the compression didn't go up. So that's very, very odd. I don't know what's going on in there. So, but yeah, the leak down test kind of proved that it had to be the rings. Alright, talked to the owner. He wants me to dig into it and see what I can find. So let's start digging into it. I got the fuel injector unit off. I had to lift up the subframe. 2 bolts right here. One right here, and then one on the other side. That pulled off, and then you could get the boot to the carburetor and the air filter off. Next, I took off the pipe, so the whole pipe is off. Now we are going to drain the coolant out. Coolant should be right here. Let's drain that. So according to the leak down test, the top end gasket, or the head gasket, is still fine. So that's good. Alright, we'll let this drain out and then come back and get these lines off. Alright, and then I think that's pretty much it. I think that's everything going. So we'll get the valve cover off. Just these 2 bolts right here. Take that off, and then we can start working on getting this head off. We've got to get the cams out of here. Then we got to get the timing chain off. And to do that, we've got to get the tensioner out, which is right down there. So let's work on that. I'll come back once we've got all that off, and then I'll show you guys the process of getting the head off. It looks like there's a couple bolts down there. Alright, we got the head bolts off, cams out. Quick show you guys what the cams look like. Here are the cams. I believe they're marked intake and exhaust. Exhaust right there. Intake one right there, so you can't really mess them up. And then those are all the parts. Not too many parts for the top end. Alright, I was able to get that stud out, so let's see if we can take this off now. Ugh, finally. Got that sucker out of here. Valves look good. This gasket off. Valve guide out of here. It's a long one. Alright, now we can kind of see the piston. There's some gunk on it. Cylinder wall looks pretty good so far. But let's get this cylinder off next. Cylinder looks pretty decent. Doesn't look like any scratches on it, at least. Oh yeah, piston rings are all stuck in there. You can see piston rings are stuck. I'll take the piston off and take a closer look, but yeah, they're all formed into the piston. Alright, check it out. Crank looks really good. No up and down play. Barely any side to side. So crank looks really good. You can see it got hot right there though, where it's blue. But yeah, crank looks good. Let's check out the piston. So look at this. Piston rings are all stuck. They're not expanding at all. You can see they're just pretty much flush with the piston. So that was the culprit. And the leak down test told us that, which was nice. So the oil ring looks like it's stuck a little bit as well. So I'm gonna try to get these rings out, and we'll probably order up some new rings, maybe a new piston, depending on what the guy wants to do. And then here's the cylinder. You can see that looks pretty good. Luckily, it didn't scratch at all. So, definitely reusable if we stick a magnet to it. Oh, it's a little bit magnetic. So it might be a different kind of coating. But yeah, cylinder looks good. And then the valves look really good as well. Valves are all closed. And the leak down test kind of told us that as well, that the valves weren't leaking. So really, it's just the piston rings were stuck, causing all the problems. Alright, so let's order up some piston rings, a piston, and get this bike back together. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. This one took a while to diagnose because of that compression test at the beginning. But we finally got it. Stay tuned for next video. Until next time, we are out.